Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Government Secrets episode 59 with Lee Carp and Carp Elwood. Just got a new
Whoa.
laser sound effect, right?
That was something new.
That cost $15,000, that sound effect.
I want to know if people missed us. We skipped a week, which I'm sure was tough times for people.
Was it just?
It had to do with the shipping backup that's been going on across America.
Yes, the port of Los Angeles prevented us from finding government secrets, so we couldn't. They're on a cargo.
Yeah, they were stuck in a cargo hold. Yeah, exactly, for like a week and a half.
There's literally a whole ship of government secrets that's still off the port of Los Angeles that's just sitting there. And now that the oil leak has ruined surf breaks that I've been to, we can't get anything. So
yeah, that's right. So we've had to but I know a guy, and we slipped him a Hyundai, and hopefully he says he can get us government secrets. We haven't verified whether what he's got is like pure uncut or what, but
pure uncut government secrets. We slipped him a Hyundai, so we give him a Korean car, basically a cheaper Corolla, I guess, and that's all we could afford from this show.
I was trying to be like a cool mafia guy. Is that not what they say? I don't know.
I don't think they say Hyundai, Lee. I grew up with some mob guys. I'd never heard them say, "Hey, just give them a Hyundai," just slide them a Kia, and then everything will be good. Give them a Kia Sportage.
I can tell you, a Nissan Leaf's not going to secure any deals.
No. Oh my God, no. I mean, people in trucks just run into them whenever they see them parked freely on the street. They just don't like them. Which is one of the things, folks, if you would have come to the live show in Los Angeles, before the show, we had a slideshow, and one of them was pictures of my Leaf completely smashed up. The actual
I didn't see it. Shit.
You didn't?
No, I wasn't in the audience.
Well, I sent you. Didn't I send it to you before the show? No,
I don't think so. I saw a couple because I was just like standing there before the show started. But man, I missed the Leaf.
You missed. I will text you photos of my smashed Leaf.
I saw there were at least 7 photos of John Tesh. Saw that.
Well, that was the thing too. As I was looking because I was when I was putting slides up of all the inside jokes. So I put like a slide up of just like unsweetened cashew milk. I just put that up. Yeah. And then I was like, well, let me put a John Tesh album cover. And I just searched that on a web browser. And he had like 10 albums. I mean, it's frightening how many albums.
Well, Graham, you know how it is when the fans are begging for more.
Yeah. When you
got to give it to them. There were 2 73-year-old women in Ames, Iowa, who demanded another album.
And you don't say no to Gladys and Anita.
No, you don't.
In Ames, Iowa. I mean, literally, he had a Christmas album. He had just like, Pure Tesh or Tesh-tastic or whatever the albums were called. Like Untethered Tesh or something.
Untethered Tesh.
So I put it like
Tesh Unleashed.
Take the harness off. It's pure Tesh. And so like that was the slideshow. Was like first I had a Nessie for mayor slide. Then I had, wow, the police are coming quickly. The show might be short, ladies and gentlemen. And then I just kept sprinkling in John Tesh albums throughout the whole slideshow.
I'm sure people thought you were just a huge fan.
The guy in the booth was just like, I guess this is like a John Tesh podcast or something. I don't know. And if you're new to the show,
we actually walked 7 people before the show started. They were like, fuck.
That was
a lot of Tesh.
Oh, it's too Tesh for me. I'm out. If you're new to the show, go back and listen to past episodes where you can find out about Leafgate, which is probably a 6 or 7 episode arc of my Nissan Leaf getting smashed.
This is how we sell the show. We're like, there's a 6 or 7 episode arc where we talk about a fender bender I got in. So if because if you haven't heard that, then you don't know what's going on here.
You really are lost. You need to know Me talking just about dealing with the insurance companies at the top of every episode, just because I was frustrated.
And then, oh yeah, there was one time the CIA put a neutron bomb up a old man's anus, but that's really a side story.
It's more of just a B plot, really, to what was going on with my Nissan Leaf and the insurance companies.
It was a bonus track to the Leaf discussion.
Like an Easter egg, really, if you think about it. So, and you can find out where Cashew Milk and John Tesh, where that origin story comes from. You can find all of that stuff. And why Lee Camp thinks the Loch Ness Monster is the mayor of Atlantis.
I think he was running for mayor. I don't know if he won yet.
Right. Well, I'm backing his campaign. We all are. I mean, he's for Medicare for all and taxing Bigfoot. So it was really kind of an odd campaign.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the person closest to even having a shot against him was Mothra, but it's like 14 points back.
Mothra, so actual one of Godzilla's enemies is running. See, I don't think that's fair. Nessie is a real thing. We don't know. Mothra, I mean,
right.
Are you saying there's a confirmed Mothra sighting? I mean, maybe that's what we're getting into today.
We haven't covered that one yet.
Mothra probably is a real government secret, and they're like, let's test the waters and put it in a Godzilla movie and see if the people buy it. And if they're not that freaked out by it, then we'll let it slide. I don't know why CIA is now some like guy from the 20s. 23 Skidoo, CIA.
Yeah, I mean, that's still how they talk, I imagine. And that's also, I like the idea that they would test something to see whether it'll fly and then do it. I think they just do things and then go, oh, that didn't fly at all.
That didn't fly. Wow, that kind of blew back on. I got a little blowback on that one.
Yeah. Turns out they don't like that when you assassinate their guy.
Ooh, that's gonna be a mess. That's gonna be problematic. All right, just checking from Kate to make sure we can hear everybody. Well, dude, we've got two pretty powerful Gov Seeks today.
Yes, indeed. Let's start with yours.
Yeah, yours is definitely going to be more depressing. So we'll get into mine first.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah.
We'll see.
I think it's good times.
That's, folks, if you want good times, that's what Government Secrets is all about. It is about good times.
This is a good time show, really.
It is a good this is a good time show.
I mean, I think our main audience is families with little kids. They put it on and they sit around like before bed, I think.
Yeah, it's a show of hope.
Yeah,
it's a show that you want to have. If you have hope for the future, this is the program.
I'd really call it more a show of nope. Like, we just tell things that went on, and then people sit there and go, "Oh, fuck no, nope, no,
awful,
no,
yeah." Just, I wonder what how much cognitive dissonance we are creating with this. Like, how many people just listen to our show and then just go, "Okay, just nope, just shutting that off. Gonna go on Snapchat now and watch a cooking show." Just can't. It's too much for everybody.
I mean, I would imagine we've helped Ambien sales. I'll say that. Maybe Vicodin sales. If we are, if we start looking for sponsors, I think that'd be a good route. You're having trouble sleeping after listening to our show. Try Ambien.
It's time for a Tempur-Pedic mattress that'll help you sleep through the horrors of the United States government. No hope for the future? Well, we've got to live for today. All right.
I like how this guy selling mattresses sounds like he's 108. He's like, I can hardly stand to do this any longer, and I am looking for a mattress where I can die peacefully.
Well, that's all we can afford is to hire a voiceover actor that's 108 years old who's just barely getting by. Speaking of supporting the show, everybody, go to liberapay.com/government secrets. You can support everything we're doing here. Sorry, let's get into our. So mine is there's an operation that I need to discuss to lay the groundwork for then the actual cover up that happened. Is Operation Crossroads, which we've kind of talked about, and I'm sure a lot of people know about, but basically Operation Crossroads was a pair of nuclear tests that was conducted by the United States in the Bikini Atoll, the Bikini Islands, in mid-1945. Basically, this is how we tested, and we blew up the Bikini Islands and the Marshall Islands. We just, who gives a shit about the South Pacific? Is what
and people can go back and listen to that episode, which we have not put in the effort to find out what episode it was, but there's an episode where we discuss the nuclear testing and how they just didn't give a fuck about the locals. And in fact, they continue to measure the locals basically just to see what the effect of the radiation would be long-term.
So not evil or sadistic at all. Just really basic, just insane.
No. I mean, listen, standard operating procedures. When you blow up an island next to other people, you watch them and you see whether they grow like second heads or things like that. And it's a courtesy.
It is a courtesy.
And then if they get the second head, you can offer to remove it, help remove it. So yeah.
And or just like we'll let you give their second head a tax break or something. They're gonna do.
Yeah. Well, you'll get a free government pillow to add to the second head. You're gonna need another pillow. So.
Free government pillow for all radioactive second heads. So,
I think I just created a new Marvel character too.
Oh God! I mean, literally, like the game show that I do, Anything Can Happen, that you and Eleanor have been on. I've started a new category, and I just have to write more questions.
and named.
We
were on it, and we ended up naming it.
We ended up naming it Anything Can Happen. Where I literally do who did this, a government, politicians or supervillains, because this sounds like a supervillain plot of like, nobody in real life would do this. I mean, this sounds like a Bond villain. Nope.
That's a good category. The only thing I think would differentiate them is up until recently, there were more lasers involved in the supervillains, but nowadays you wouldn't even know with the laser.
We have no clue. You'd have no clue. Because back then they would always have sort of technology that wasn't readily available yet in the Bond movies or the supervillain movies. Now they've got everything. So one of the things I wanted to mention this about Operation Crossroads is they were first of many nuclear tests in the Marshall Islands and the first to be publicly announced beforehand and observed by an invited audience, including a large press corps. So they were conducting.
They invited a press to the Marshall Islands testing.
Yeah, to watch the testing, to take photos, and they were sort of proud of it. And I think they were.
So the locals were probably like, "Why are all these photographers here?"
Just stay where you're at. We're gonna get photos of you in a second. Like, just
yeah.
So it was. And they were conducted by Joint Army Task Force 1, headed by Vice Admiral William H.P. Brandy, rather than by the Manhattan Project, which had developed nuclear weapons during World War II. A fleet of 96 target ships were assembled in the Bikini Lagoon and hit with 2 detonations of this is their term, Fat Man plutonium implosion type nuclear weapons.
Because they're referencing the first bomb dropped, the Fat Man.
Yeah, so these were the type that were dropped in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, with a yield of 23 kilotons of TYT. The first test was.
Did you say TNT or TYT?
With basically 23 chank piles of bullshit that he spews. It was 23.
This shows in Graham's subconscious, this is the amount of damage done by TYT. It's on the level of nuclear bombs.
Yes, because it was a technology that could have been used to help people, but instead it blew shit up. So that's how I would describe TYT. They did such amazing stuff early on. Cenk showed everybody how YouTube could change. We could get outside of the corporate media, and then he became the corporate media, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Which is like, hey, we split an atom. We could find clean energy for everybody. Nope, let's blow things up.
Yeah.
So the first one was Able, and the second, and the bomb. First one was Able, and the second one was named Gilda after Rita Hayworth's character in the 1946 film Gilda. Wow, that's gotta make you feel good.
I mean, I always love when they make bombs cute. Like,
yeah,
it's always great when they're blowing shit up, and you're like, oh, that's a fun reference. We can put that in the trivia game.
And that doesn't reek of just like American white privilege that we're going to name the bomb after a pretty white lady from movies on poor countries that don't even get, we're just hey, a good looking famous white lady is going to come blow you up. That's
why they called them bombshells back then, right?
Yeah, they were called bombshells. So, and they literally, the guys thought this was probably hilarious in the office.
No, totally hilarious. As was the naming of the bikini bathing suit bikini, because they had done that nuclear testing recently, and the designer thought he thought, I want people to have the same reaction to these bikini bathing suits as they had to the bikini bomb. Like, oh my God, that's incredible. That's awe. He wanted them to be awestruck. And yet again, it's like, and it'll be fun, like the bombs. Like it'll be a good time. Women in tiny bathing suits, and
people being blown up and possibly destroying planet Earth and all of its inhabitants.
Yeah.
Like, just crazy. So that's the reason I give you that reference, is because then there was a whole, obviously the military and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, we said, was doing all of this testing and sending all of this weaponry and doing all this. So what happened, there was a B-17, and this is that was on a mission to get to the Marshall Islands to bring supplies and weaponry, nuclear weaponry for this, right? So in May of 46, an Army B-17 Flying Fortress crashed into White Hill, also known locally as White's Hill or White Hill, near Fairfax, California. 2 men were killed and 6 seriously injured. There are reports that the B-17 was carrying nuclear weapon materials for the Operation Crossroads test at Bikini Atoll. But these reports were not confirmed. However, due to the behavior and activities of the military authorities at the crash site and the reports of several credible witnesses, including several of the crew members, questions about the plane's cargo remain. The plane took off 4 p.m. May 15th from Clovis Airfield Base in Clovis, New Mexico. This was a training base. So this is why this is important. The Clovis, New Mexico Air Force Base was a training base for the bikini tests, right? Lieutenant Warder Skaggs, real name, was the pilot. Along with 3 other crewmen, there were 12 passengers. After a stop at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base near Tucson, Arizona, and another at Mines Field near Los Angeles, where several passengers disembarked, the plane was en route to Hamilton.
So they were just jumping. They were like hopscotching this thing around the country with nuclear weapons in it. They were like, let's just go by Los Angeles, maybe Vegas. We'll just wherever, let's not take a straight shot.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that can happen if it crashes outside of Tucson or Vegas or Phoenix or Los Angeles? I mean, they're not big cities, so what's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst that could happen with our plane and these nuclear weapons? They're not
crashing in Los Angeles. What's the worst? Come on, like, let's not get all bent out of shape that we could have actually done to Hiroshima. We could have done that to Los Angeles. Not scary at all that our government does this. The plane was due to arrive at Hamilton at 1:17 a.m. The morning of the 16th, just before 2 a.m., May 16th. Oakland Naval Air Station radio operators heard a call from the crew of the B-17. The crew reported that their plane was running low on fuel. So
yeah, why would you have a little extra fuel in the tank when you're fucking carting nuclear goddamn bombs around the country? Hey, did you fill her up, Jim? Nah, we got half a tank. Let's just see how it goes.
I mean, it's not like we just told you the plane stopped 3 times. It's not like they could have got gas any one or all of those times. Like
Jim was like, it's $3.98 a gallon here. That's a bit pricey. I think we'll find better prices in Canada. Let's just get on up there.
What was the gas price in 1946 for the military? What was it? 10 cents, 15 cents? Like just some dad. Well, I'm not gonna. It's 4 cents cheaper down the road.
No.
We're going there.
Listen, it's 4 cents cheaper, 8 hours down the road. So we'll just head on down there.
And if a plane runs out of gas again, what's the worst that can happen, Lee? Like, why is everybody all bent out of shape?
My understanding is once you get them up in the air, you can turn off the engines and they'll just fly forever. There's nothing. Once they're up there, there's nothing pulling them back down to earth.
No, especially if they're loaded down with nuclear weaponry. Like it's not like that makes the plane heavier, and a heavier plane is going to just drop like a rock if its engines aren't on. It's not like that. It's not like, I mean, we know gravity's fake science anyway. So
I mean, it's a theory, Graham. All right. It's a theory. It's a theory, like my theory that there is an invisible guy that pulls all the stuff to the ground called Groundy. All right. Groundy.
Groundy
pulls all the things towards the ground because he's angry that you lifted it up in the first place.
Oh, Groundy, are you up to your old shenanigans again, Groundy?
It's a theory. Listen, there's nothing that makes the theory of gravity any better than my theory of Groundy, okay?
Groundy.
We have been held down by these science tyrants for too long. Sirens is what I call them.
Sirens. Yeah, I know gravity's fake science. That's why after this show, I'm going to the roof of my building and I'm going to just jump and prove everybody wrong. It's going to be great. So they were out of fuel and got caught in the fog. Again, something that can happen, especially in Northern California and when you're flying.
Like, we're out of fuel. That's fine. We don't need fuel. We're going into fog. That's fine. We don't need vision. We're good. We're good.
Just crash out on the nukes in the back. We'll be just settle down. We'll get you there.
Angelo, go take a nap on the nukes and shut the fuck up. We're doing fine.
Will you let me drive? Jesus. So they were actually flying over Hamilton Field when they were in communication with the Oakland Naval Station airport radio operators just because of the dense fog. They thought they were flying over the Oakland Naval Station airport. And again, this is before any of this satellite, any of this stuff. So they couldn't just go, you're absolutely right here. So while they were flying over Hamilton Air Force Base, tragically, the Oakland radio operators thought they were over Oakland as well. So they instructed the B-17 to descend to 1,500 feet and head out over the ocean that would enable the Oakland operators to pick the plane up on radar. The crew of the B-17 followed.
Really, they were like, fly out over the ocean so you can die without being near us, please.
Yeah. Just nose it into the ocean, guys.
Yeah. Could you do that for us?
Because that would be a little bit better than hitting a city or a mountain or whatever. They descended to 1,500 feet, but instead they smashed into the side of White Hills, just west of Fairfax. The plane slid 75 yards down the slope and came to a rest. The location was 9 air miles southwest of Hamilton Field and about 18 miles by road. The pilot and co-pilot were the only ones able to extricate themselves from the wreckage, though several others were still alive. Seriously injured, they made their way down the hill to a nearby convalescent home where they were able to use a telephone to contact authorities.
Could you? Oh, God. Could you imagine your fucking nuclear-laden aircraft, like, crash lands and you wander bloody into a convalescence home, get on the landline and go, hey, boss, something's come up. We're in the hills outside San Rafael. You know, we just thought we'd stop for a moment with our nukes and just, you know, check out the sights.
Hey, kind of a good news, bad news situation.
Which do you want first? The good news or the bad news?
I'm good. I'm fine.
Good news is one of my knees is working like totally good.
Good. And I don't know if it's bad news, seems like a strong term, but the plane full of nukes smashed into a mountain. So
the plane full of nukes is it's seen better days. Let's just say that. It's seen I think you might want to switch it out, as they say.
Look, it might need a new coat of paint.
Yeah. Also, Albert, you remember him? Yeah, he's no longer. He's
yeah.
It's not. I mean, you know, he was kind of alive when we left the plane, but it wasn't. You know, he was. We were like, "You're gonna be fine," and he wasn't. He wasn't gonna be fine.
Yeah. He told me he just opened up a life insurance policy a couple days before, so I feel like that's a little bit of a silver lining. So after that crash that everybody talked about, the military came in quickly to cover this up. And within an hour, dozens of civilian rescue personnel arrived on the scene, followed by the military police. After the other survivors had been rescued and the bodies of those who died had been removed, the military authorities kept onlookers away at gunpoint as they used cranes to remove 2 large crates from the wreckage. Although the Army vehemently denied the B-17 had anything to do with the Operation Crossroads test, much less carried any nuclear cargo, suspicions continued to run high in the region. The following week, a local newspaper suggested, quote, if the Flying Fortress, which crashed above Fairfax last week, had not been loaded with top secret equipment having to do with the Bikini atomic bomb test, perhaps there would not have been such a wild rush to heavily guard the wreck.
Right. Top 10 signs that some shit's going down is when guys with automatic rifles are telling you nothing to see here.
Yeah. Move along.
Move along.
Yeah. Because if it was just a regular wreck, there'd just be like firefighters and stuff going, folks, just stand back until we get to it's not safe. They wouldn't point a gun at you going, get out of here.
Listen, I'm just going to shoot you in the calf, but that's just a warning shot. It might smart a little, but move it along.
The United States Air Force removed much of the wreckage and buried what was left. They just buried it.
Nice.
Just below the crash site. At this time, it was common for the military to just bury aircraft wreckage as seen at other crash sites in Marin. So they were just crashing all the time up there. That's great.
It was common. Get the shovels. They just have them shovels ready to go.
All right, Larry, grab the shovels and get one of the other guys. Another one went down. And it just buried it.
Another one? I need to get paid by the crash. This is bullshit. When I signed up for this job, they said like 1 to 2 a year.
Oh, it's like every other week we're burying another plane.
When they said how many planes can you bury in an hour in my job interview, I should have raised some red flags, but
so an engine was recovered from the creek below the crash site after a flood in 1982, and it's on display at Camp Tamarindo. And a witness of the crash recovered the plane's flight manual just after the accident and still possesses it to this day. This gentleman, in 1991, a researcher named Gary Peake contacted Lloyd Patterson, a witness to the rescue and recovery operation. Mr. Patterson had been an assistant schoolmaster at the Boy Scout Camp Tamarindo, on whose property the plane had crashed. Mr. Patterson recalled the following. From my house, I could see the top of White's Hill. At the top of the hill, I could see fire engines, but there was no fire. I decided to make the trip up to the hill. The top of the hill was about 2 miles away from my house. When I was close to the top, I watched from a short distance, hiding behind some large trees. When I saw the wrecked B-17, the time was 4:10 a.m., but within 20 minutes, military security troops began arriving in large numbers and ordered the civilian rescue crews away. The rescue crews were ordered away from the plane. I heard a military guard yell at the Fairfax fire chief, quote, "What's on that plane is more important than human life itself."
Which is ironic because it's designed to end human life itself. Like, listen, if we don't get those off of there, we're not going to be able to kill as many people.
Yeah, it's more important than the humans that we want to blow up itself, and the thing that can end all human life.
Right.
So,
and he's like, also the crates they lifted out with large letters on the side said totally not nuclear weapons, just painted in large letters.
Yep. So this is, they basically covered up and hid it, and
expertly, I might add.
Expertly. And Peake also interviewed one of the surviving crewmen, later Lieutenant Colonel Hugh J. Rincon. According to Mr. Rincon, B-17 flight was indeed connected to Operation Crossroads as the two crates and carrying top secret equipment en route to Bikini Atoll. Mr. Rincon said, yes, personnel and equipment were flown from Clovis, New Mexico to Hamilton Field. Hamilton Field was the embarkation point for ocean shipment at Fort Mason in San Francisco. Personnel were flown to Hamilton Field, then out to the Bikini Islands. Was the B-17 carrying any top secret information, was asked. Mr. Rincon, Lieutenant Colonel Rincon, said, yes, we were carrying 2 crates aboard. Lieutenant Russell Peters was in charge of this project. How did the newspapers find out the B-17 might be a bikini plane? The rescue crew's personnel from Hamilton Field told the press that the B-17 is a top secret plane. So there it is. They covered it up.
So anybody, living in Berkeley or San Francisco, just know you could have been exploded,
blown up.
Luckily, I mean, if you were alive then, but luckily you didn't explode. So
yeah,
and we're happy to have you. We're happy to have you.
Thank you for surviving a blunder that the United States Air Force could have just vaporized people in Northern California. So,
but on the plus side, they got to go to a really great taco truck that evening that was in the San Francisco area. So,
yeah, they got to see some beat poetry later that night. So it was really fantastic. Kerouac and the gang were busting out some rhymes there in the late 40s.
And there was a woman who played with an acoustic guitar, and she wasn't wearing a top. It was delightful. It was a good time. Honestly, worth crashing our nuclear plane for that evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, pro tip, guys, if you're flying a plane full of nukes, stop and fuel up. At
least 3/4 of a tank. Always good to have 3/4 of a tank.
When you get below a half a tank, it might be time. That's play it safe and stop, because there might not be an ARCO or a gas and sip or something like that when you're flying nukes around over major cities. So,
and when you're in fog, turn on your brights. All right, turn on those brights, because it's really tough to see in that fog.
Yep. And after you crash a plane, always cover it up and then call your boss. So that's the best way. The best way to handle it. So let's do Government Secrets second segment with Lee Cap.
All right. This is 2 weeks in a row. I'm kind of giving people the background of certain corporations that have been pivotal in the destruction of our world in various ways, the owning of our inverted totalitarian country, those type of things, you know.
I thought you were going to say involved in growing America's freedoms around the world. That's what I thought you were going to say. You're saying all this crazy stuff.
I thought that was what I said. I don't hear the difference. So maybe I've just been here too long in the United States.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
Okay, so this week on Get to Know a Corporation Destroying Your World, let's talk about DynCorp.
DynCorp International. We serve today for a better tomorrow.
We destroy today for possibly no tomorrow.
We're psychos and proud of it.
Now, so I'm about to read the description of DynCorp. This is in this part is from Wikipedia. It's in the past tense because as of 2021, as of 2020, DynCorp was bought by Amentum. And as of 2021, they discontinued use of the name DynCorp. It's quite possible they realized it sounded very similar to DynCorp, because this is a corp that facilitates dying.
they just didn't want to get too close to Death Corp.
It's very close to Death Corp. However, the fact this description really should not be in past tense, because just because they took it over, just because Amentum took it over, which I don't even know, some fucking group of assholes comes together and comes up with these names. And it used to be that you wanted a name that sounded cool, and nowadays it's you want a name that is completely unmemorable, like Amentum. Like, honestly, it's tough to get through that whole word without falling asleep halfway. And they want that because they want it to not be memorable for people. It's tougher for activists to fight against something that doesn't sound like anything. And so, nowadays Blackwater doesn't exist, quote unquote, because it's Academy. So nowadays that's what they do. But anyway, DynCorp still exists. It's just now a part of Amentum. So all of this really should be present tense. Anyway, DynCorp was an American private military contractor, is an American private military contractor. It started as an aviation company. The company also provided flight operations support, training and mentoring, international development, intelligence training and support, contingency operations, security and operations, and maintenance of land vehicles. So basically, that's the euphemistic way of saying all of the shit the military does that's fucking destroying the world, destroying other countries. Same with CIA. They work with DynCorp. DynCorp received more than 96% of its $3 billion annual revenue from the federal government. So our tax dollars are paying for this fucking death corporation.
And I always like reminding people, anytime in your daily life, wherever you live, whatever city, town, rural area, whatever, and you see something, a park that could use some money, a broken down school, a road that's not going, that's broke, like something needs to be fixed or repaired, infrastructure, civil services, something, any government building that is just could use some little money. Just remember, we have the money to fix that, but we waste it in places like Afghanistan and give to these soulless assholes like DynCorp, who now are called Omertacom or whatever the hell they're called now.
Yeah.
So I just want people to see throughout every minute of your day, just think all the money that's wasted on our military. And not even like, it's not even like, it'd be one thing if like our VAs were all just amazing and our veterans were completely taken care of. They'd be like, oh, okay, at least some of the money is going to help the vets. We don't even give the money to the goddamn vets. There's vets living on the streets right now. I mean, some of the VAs do good work, but some of them don't because they're underfunded and understaffed. So
and veterans wait like a year for common medical procedures. Yeah.
Yep. So just remember that.
Yeah. You're pointing to the stuff that could easily, very quickly be funded, like fixing school buildings and infrastructure and things like that. But then, of course, there and things that could also easily be done, but people don't think about, such as erasing all student loans, or giving everybody Medicare for all, or giving people $15 minimum wage, or all this shit. It's like, we have the money for fucking all of it. For all of it, not evicting anyone right now, as millions are being evicted across this country. The amount of money owed in back rent right now is $20 billion, which is nothing for our military budget. So yeah, just good to know.
Nothing. They could write a check for $20 billion and erase everybody's back rent, and landowners, property owners, many of whom are just small business owners. They're not all big tyrants. They're not evil landlords. They're just small business owners. You could make all of them whole. And by the way, that money then would go to the landlords and go to the banks, and the banks would get their taken care of. They'd get their money if their people are back on, if you're a landowner or just a landlord, and your tenants haven't been able to pay rent because of COVID, you're behind on your mortgage. So you could make your mortgage whole. Everybody could be taken care of for $20 billion, which is, like you say, nothing. No. And we can't even do that.
No, it's for the military's budget, it's a rounding error.
For real.
Yeah.
Like, it is a for real rounding error. Like, I mean,
when you're talking a $1 trillion annual budget, it's 20 billion is nothing. It's a couple of days.
It's literally like finding a $5 bill in your winter coat in the summer, like
the military has a giant winter coat.
It's a really big
$20 billion in it.
And probably another billion in change under their couch.
So, so basically when we talk military industrial complex, that is DynCorp. 96% of it comes from U.S. federal government. DynCorp provided services for the U.S. military in several theaters. Again, lovely euphemism. Sounds like they're, doing Shakespeare in the middle of fucking Bosnia.
we set up Shakespeare in the park.
Yeah.
In Bosnia and Yemen. It's great.
It's wherefore art thou, as they're firing fucking napalm on children.
Right. That's how America does it.
So they provided services in many military theaters, including Bolivia, Bosnia, Somalia, and Angola, Haiti, Colombia, Kosovo, and Kuwait. It also provided much of the security for Afghan President Hamid Karzai, our puppet presidential guard, who just fled the country recently with what was it, $100 and some million in his fucking shoes. And it's like, they were like, why are you 7'2"? He's like, I'm very tall man. I need to go through.
Of their shoes. And
trained much of the police forces of Iraq and Afghanistan, which are all stand-up individuals. DynCorp was also hired to assist recovery in Louisiana and neighboring areas after Hurricane Katrina. And you remember that went fucking swimmingly when we sent a bunch of military fucking goons down there to basically shoot black people as they tried to, quote unquote, steal food to survive from a store that was flooded.
And we were referring to them as refugees. Like, what? They're American citizens. Like,
and they're on their own street.
Yeah, on their own street. They're refugees on their own street. I was working in New Orleans a year after Katrina, and I, was just working this casino. So I chose at night, and during the day, I went down to the 9th Ward to volunteer. There was a local organization to help. And there was all these abandoned homes that had the X's on them. And some of the numbers were number of bodies they found. And you saw the watermarks.
I still saw those. I mean, not as many, but I still saw those. I was there 5 years ago. There's still houses with the X's and the body number on them side.
It was unbelievable. And I was there, and it was me. And there was this one girl from Tulane, or no, she was going to school in Washington and came over the summer break to help. And it was September, and she decided, I'm staying here. She didn't go back for her fall break. And then a couple days, it was just her and I gutting buildings. Yeah. And then one day, some nursing students from Tulane came by, and I was like, really? The richest country in the history of the world. The best we can do is a comedian and 6 college kids. This is this is the best we got. And
dude, totally. And the best book about this, although you're talking about a year later, that was still going on. But this book is about the weeks after. Well, one of the best books. Black Flags and Windmills. People should read that book, and Scott Crow's book, and it's amazing. I mean, they set up. He went down there with several others, and they ended up setting up a mutual aid situation where they were just trying to provide a certain area anything they could, like medical attention, food, water, all that shit, and like the shit they went through to try and provide people with food and water, where like fucking cops are trying to stop them, military, these DynCorp goons, they're all like pulling guns on them and shit. It was like the Wild West, but the people with the big guns and everything just wanted to stop those who were there trying to provide food and medical care.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It's like a land grab. I mean, it was just like, it was just preposterous. I couldn't believe it. I really was like, that was one of my first.
I felt the same way. And for people who are regular listeners, I don't know if I've already covered this on our podcast, but I felt the same way. And I helped out for a few days in Hurricane Sandy, after Hurricane Sandy in New York City, and think about this, in New York City, this is one of the richest cities in the fucking world. And the number of people, number of first responders that are there are like some of the highest in the world. And I was helping out in Coney Island area, and there's like 14 floor buildings, like projects where people are very poor and they have no way of get downstairs because they can't use the power's out, no elevators, and they can't use stairs because they're too disabled. And so we're delivering food to these people, and it's the only way they're surviving is by food deliveries coming. And I felt the same way. I was like, why is it fucking two comedians and an out of work barista are the ones saving the lives of these pits? Like,
yes,
I love that I matter. I shouldn't matter.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was like, yeah, we all felt good. No slam on me or the college kids, but like, what? We're the tip of the spear? Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I remember too, this was 2006. And we were driving through these areas in New Orleans. And I literally 3 or 4 months prior, so April of 2006, I was in Afghanistan for my second comedy tour. And on my second one, we drove through Kabul in 2006, which I'm sure looks 10 times better now because, man, we fixed it. We really took care of it. Everything's great in Afghanistan.
And you drove through on a comedy bus, right? Where you do comedy in the bus while it's going through.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't a military convoy. And I was driving through New Orleans and I was saying, this looks like Kabul. I mean, literally like bombed out building, no infrastructure, no money spent, just people barely getting by.
Yeah. And so that's what DynCorp was helping with. I mean, what you're saying is they did a great job. That's what I'm hearing. They fixed it up. Yes. DynCorp is great. I think that's what's going on. And they make Ethernet cables that are fantastic. And we really celebrate everything that they're doing. Well said. So now I know we've been talking about what a wonderful corporation they are, and I know this might blow your mind, but I'm going to talk about some controversies they've been involved in. I don't want to hurt your feelings toward the brand, but let me guess. It's just they were helping too many people. They brought a bunch of people out of poverty too quickly. What happened? That is exactly right. So they had a program of helping old women across the road, and they were helping so many that they started piling some of the old women on top of other old women to use them as a sled to get them all across the road at once. And so the old women on the bottom didn't fare so well. They piled them up like a sled. So even helping old women, they would screw up and turn evil and awful. Like even that, they would somehow find a way to make it awful. I mean, it's listen, these are common growth pains when you're helping a lot of old women. When you're a big evil corporation with who's given yourself an evil corporation name, this is the kind of like growing pains. I mean, these are good problems to have. Good problem. You're helping so many old women. They're piling up on top of each other. So DynCorp has a bunch of controversies in their past. And one of them, I want to give some background. And honestly, this could be a whole government secret segment on its own. But there is a U.S. program of spraying tons of Roundup herbicide by Monsanto onto Colombia, onto like the poor farmers of Colombia. Now, why would the U.S. government have a fucking program like that? Because we're fucking awful. And they claim it's part of, eradicating the drug trade. But the U.S. sprayed tons of Roundup and Roundup Ultra, which I love the idea that, this isn't causing enough cancer. We need an Ultra version. Is there some way we could cause cancer quicker? Because this one Roundup herbicide is taking a couple years.
It's ultra mega cancer from Monsanto.
So the U.S. helped spray tons of Roundup and Roundup Ultra during the 24-year-long drug war in Colombia. And by the way, of course, many of us, many times before, we've talked about how fucking evil our drug war is and how there shouldn't be a drug war at all. And honestly, we should decriminalize pretty much all drugs. And instead, we just kill people and arrest people and imprison people. And we use it to imprison, mainly black and brown people, but others as well. And it's a war upon our own people, as well as the people of Colombia. So the use of these herbicides has consistently produced health complaints from people in Colombia, in the Colombian countryside. These complaints have gone largely ignored by Washington and Monsanto. Ha, you don't say. I find that very odd. I would have thought this would be at the top of their list. I would have thought there'd be a big red phone that the CEO of Monsanto would get a call like, oh my God, there's a poor farmer in Colombia who says that the herbicide is not helping.
I'm sure he reads every handwritten letter and then goes, "Oh, I didn't know we were doing this. I didn't know our products were doing this."
Yes, it's shocking, but Jose Francisco Tenorio spoke out as one of the leaders of these farmers in Colombia. And he's the only leader who is not afraid to use his real name. And what you have to realize is that anyone who speaks out against these things or for environmental reasons, says corporations are crushing their farms or destroying the Amazon or things like that, they're often murdered in Colombia. Colombia is the top country that kills environmental activists. And yet they're our ally. We love them. We're good buddies with them. But Venezuela, they need to be stopped. But Colombia's on the up and up. So this is a quote from Jose Francisco Tenorio. The 12 indigenous peoples have been suffering under this plague as if it were a government decree to exterminate our culture and our very survival. Our only sustenance, manioc, banana, palms, sugarcane, and corn have been fumigated by Roundup. Our sources of water, creeks, rivers, lakes have been poisoned, killing our fish. Today, hunger is our daily bread. In the name of the Amazonian indigenous people, I ask that the fumigations be immediately suspended. So they actually stopped for a bit after 2015, under the Obama administration, and they're being restarted under Biden because Biden loves them. God. So between 1994 and 2015, a U.S.-backed program supported a fleet of aircraft and teams of contract pilots and maintenance personnel that sprayed the herbicide glyphosate over 4.42 million acres of Colombian territory, a land area 3.5 times the size of Delaware.
Glyphosate, which has been definitively proven to cause cancer. There's a lawsuit for it. So just they've
paid. Monsanto's paid hundreds of millions to the victims, and the World Health Organization says it is carcinogenic.
And Joe Biden's going to revamp it, get it back up and running. Good for you, Joe.
Up and running to spray Colombian farmers with this garbage. So in September 2001, Ecuadorian farmers filed, because Ecuador gets hit by this shit as well. Ecuadorian farmers filed a class action lawsuit against DynCorp. On February 2013, the court granted summary judgment to DynCorp, dismissing the sole remaining human health and medical monitoring claims Ecuadorian plaintiffs had brought in connection with the counter-narcotic aerial herbicide spraying operations in southern Colombia. So that's one thing DynCorp has been more than glad to help with.
I'm so glad our tax dollars,
Well, I put a little note. I don't know about you. When I pay my tax, I put a little note in the margin and I say, please use for spraying poisons on Colombian farmers.
Yeah, could we find out where the DynCorp CEOs all live and just spray their homes with glyphosate and just see how they like it? Could we just do that? Just
I'll have those addresses for the next episode. Yeah.
Just have a glyphosate FedEx.
Yeah,
team.
and as they're coughing, be like, "I thought you loved this stuff. I thought you were a big fan."
Well, you guys loved it in Colombia. Why can't you drink it? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Why can't you just have it?
Yeah. So here's another thing DynCorp has been involved in. According to Human Rights Watch, there is substantial evidence that points to the involvement of DynCorp contractors in trafficking of women and girls in Bosnia and Herzegovina, as well as violence against them. In the late 1990s, two employees, Ben Johnston, a former DynCorp aircraft mechanic, and Catherine Balkovac, a UN International Police Force monitor, independently alleged that DynCorp employees in Bosnia engaged in sex with minors. That's people that mine coal, not children. No, I'm kidding. Actually minors, children, and sold them to each other as slaves. So that's what DynCorp is involved in. Johnston and Balkovac were fired for bringing these allegations, and Johnston was later placed in protective custody. Because, I think with any corporation, when there's accusations of trading sex-trafficked children as slaves, I mean, step one in the Human Resources Guide is fire the person who said that.
Yeah, and fire the person and sweep it under the rug. These guys are evil, man. What do we... I really identify with the League of Shadows in the Batman movies. I really... I honestly, if I were to come into contact with a lot of money, I would hire people to just go wipe these clowns out. I mean, I really wouldn't have a problem with it
Graham,
at all.
I think you should tell your listeners what the level is that Bitcoin has to get to for you to send assassins around the world.
Yep.
Set a line. Listen, guys, if the LeBaron Patty gets to a certain level, you will see hitmen hired.
When Ethereum is at 500,000 and Bitcoin's at 2 million a coin, that's when the Graham Elwood political vigilante assassin tier will take into effect.
Assassin tier.
Yeah.
If you signed up for the assassin tier, then you'll get a free t-shirt saying I killed an executive.
Yeah. I killed evil people. I killed sex trafficking monsters. And then there'll be like a me thumbs up like that.
In June 2000, an investigation was launched in the DynCorp hangar at Comanche Base Camp, one of two U.S. bases in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and all DynCorp personnel were detained for questioning. CID spent several weeks investigating, and the results appear to support Johnston's allegations that they were selling children as sex slaves. DynCorp had fired 5 employees for similar illegal activities prior to the charges. Jesus Christ. How do you even get that idea? Like, what is that, like a discussion or in the break room? Hey, it turns out you can, you can just take these Bosnia kids and you can just sell them as sex slaves. It's like real easy. You just go out there. I know a place you can just collect them.
This is, and what's sad and horrifying is this is a consistent pattern, not just with DynCorp, but whenever there's like a war-torn country or you know, a hurricane hits Haiti or whatever, this shit just happens. I mean, the Clinton Foundation, I mean, this is what they do. There's a bunch of kids that nobody cares about, or nobody has any power to track. So they're just going to scoop them up. I mean, this is like Epstein victims have said this. I mean, it's they do this all the time. Oh, hey, there's no rules here. We can just scoop people up. I mean, it's the finder's call. It's all similar.
You know, in the case of Epstein, it starts as, do you want to make $1,000 a month or something like that? And to them, that's more money than they'll see in 2 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
yeah, and
you know, and so they say yes, and then they're on a plane, and then what the fuck? They have no rights, no one to fight for them. They're just owned.
I mean, I remember when the first time I went to Afghanistan in 2004, talking to like a lifer guy in the army who was in Bosnia. And he said it was so awful there. There was like Bosnian parents going, please take our daughter and get her out of here. This is horrifying. So then these awful, soulless, you know, bags of shit go, hey, opportunity. So like they're just, I'm sure they did that. We can just scoop these kids up. Or like you say, like, oh, we'll take care of your kids. We'll make them safe and we can do whatever we want, you know, to the kid that, you know, young girls or whatever, whoever they were, you know, I'm sure they did boys too. They're fucking psycho, evil fucks. God. Like,
you'll love this last line. Many of the employees accused of sex trafficking were forced to resign. As of 2014, no one had been prosecuted. So
wow, that's God. Where have I heard that before? It's not like, has the Vatican done that or the Catholic Church done that?
Whoa, Graham. We do not talk about the church on this program. Okay.
No. The single largest landowner on the planet who has prosecuted 0 priests and just relocated them, some of them. Yes. And said, keep playing the bad apples.
The Lord shalt have his sex slaves. All right. I believe that's Leviticus 25:17. Go fuck yourself.
I think it's in the Catholic Bible too that said, and then cometh the attorney to smear survivors and say repressed memories don't exist.
That's the story of Job. Yeah.
That's the story of Job. That is the story of Job. The lawyers told him his story was lies.
So yeah, no one had been prosecuted. As of 2002, Balkovac filed a lawsuit in Great Britain against DynCorp for unfair dismissal. She co-authored a book about it, and then it became a Hollywood film called The Whistleblower. So you may not get anyone prosecuted, but at least you get a Hollywood film.
Wow.
Here's Iraq incidents. According to the New York Times, the Special Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction found that DynCorp seemed to act almost independently of its reporting officers at the Department of State, billing the United States for millions of dollars of work that were not authorized and beginning other jobs without a go-ahead. Basically, they're just billing the U.S. government for everything and making shit up and just keep, just keep collecting money. And this is how you end up with these audits of the Pentagon that they just say, oh, they failed them. They have no idea where the money's going, what's happening. It's companies like DynCorp, which again is not gone. They're acting like it's gone. No, it is just part of Amentum. So it still exists. And they just say, oh, fucking Pentagon pay us, $100 million for this shit. And Pentagon just signs off. Okay. Because what do they fucking care? No one looks at where this money's going. The report states that the findings of DynCorp's misconduct on a $188 million job to buy weapons and build quarters for the Iraqi police were serious enough to warrant a fraud inquiry. Oh, I'm sure they imprisoned a lot of people over that. A U.S. government audit report of 2007 revealed that $1.3 billion was spent on a contract with DynCorp for training Iraqi police. The auditor stated that the program was mismanaged to such an extent that they were unable to determine how the money was spent.
Can we do that? Can we just send the Pentagon an invoice that it's going to cost us $200 million to do government secrets and it's important research for the United States' freedom?
Yeah, seriously. And like when these things are unveiled or whatever, all they do is they go tisk tisk, and they keep giving contracts to DynCorp. Like there's such a revolving door and a fucking corruption. I mean, this is the full-on mafia with their construction company. There's no difference except they own the fucking nation and the military. Like, so next says 2007 federal auditors cited DynCorp for wasting millions on projects, including building an unapproved Olympic-sized swimming pool. DynCorp agreed to pay $7 million to the U.S. government to settle the claims. $7 million in contracts worth billions.
Oh my God. That's paying a $50 fine. I mean, that is literally like, yeah. And there's a $20 filing fee. So it's $70. You guys better not get out of line again.
Yeah. Wow. Honestly, they might as well go into their offices with like a little ruler and like they go, all right, that's 3 spankings with the ruler. Like,
yeah. That's, and I need you to write, we won't bilk the government for billions of dollars. I need you to write that 50 times on the chalkboard, and then you're going to promise never to do it again. And
promise never to do it. And then when the next contract, bids come up, we're going to give you a lot of deals anyway.
You're going to, oh my God, it's going to be just a gravy train after you do the punishment. You're going to be loving it.
Listen, because that'll show us you're serious. Because 50 times, that's the fingers start to hurt. We're gonna know you're serious.
Your fingers hurt. You can't switch hands, even if you're ambidextrous. Got to keep using the same hand.
And let's see. In 2007, so they're also killing people. So there's that as well. In 2007, a DynCorp security guard in a U.S. State Department convoy killed a taxi driver in Baghdad. According to several witnesses, the taxi did not pose a threat to the convoy security. So it's very similar to Blackwater. Like, oh, this guy's in our way. Just fucking kill him. And, maybe he meant bad. We don't know.
We don't know. And the private contractors aren't even held to the same rules of engagement as the military is. So there's really they're not held accountable on there's not even a military tribunal to try them. They're just like, they can literally do whatever they want. They're given a blank check and they can do whatever they want. Look what they've done. They've poisoned land in Colombia. They've just raped and sold children in Bosnia. They've just killed people. They've ruined, they profited from Americans' misery after Katrina. They're just,
and the worst we've seen is punishment for these. And these are the known crimes. I mean, could you imagine how many crimes are not written about by the New York Times and have some accurate sourcing? So these are the known crimes, and the punishment has been a couple of guys were fired and a couple of $1 million to settle the claims. Like it's fucking nothing. So this is the last one I'm going to go through. In 2009, DynCorp contractors paid a 15-year-old Afghan performer to perform lap dances and entertain them in Kunduz, Afghanistan. Several Afghans were later arrested and investigated. A WikiLeaks cable. Oh, interesting. We're getting our facts from WikiLeaks as we try and torture the person who brings us these facts. A WikiLeaks cable released after the incident stated that the Afghan interior minister at the time asked the assistant U.S. ambassador to quash both the story and release and quash the release of the video of the incident. In response to the incident, DynCorp fired 4 senior managers and established a chief compliance officer, which focused on ethics, business conduct, related investigations, and regulatory compliance. As of 2014, no DynCorp employee has faced criminal charges. But they did create an ethics position, an ethics manager.
Oh, okay. Well, a drug cartel just opened up a quality control desk, so I feel very safe. It's good. Yeah. And the mob has got an ethics guy now who sits with the mob.
Who's going to tell them, that they shouldn't behave that way? Listen, folks, if you have your sex slaves, please do not bring them back to the military base. I've said this many times. You need to separate your sex slave life and your business life.
Oh God, I've never Like if a hostile alien force attacks the planet, I'm going to try to get on their side and say, here's who you really need to go after. I'm going to just go, look.
You're the guy running out to the ship. Yeah, I want to help.
Oh, look, I'll show you who to get. I'll tell you everywhere you need to go. Just, I help you guys out. I'm going to give you a list. You take this list. You take care of these folks first.
Give you a list.
And then
I know who you need to talk to.
Yeah.
And by talk to, I mean kill.
Yeah. You take care of this list, and then I'll give you whatever minerals you guys are looking for, whatever you're coming to the planet for. Like, I'll show you the way.
You want melon balls? Because those are delicious. I can hook you up with some excellent melon balls.
And you guys, I'll teach you guys how to surf. You guys want to learn how to surf?
For some reason, eating a piece of melon in a perfect sphere is far more enjoyable than any other kind of melon.
Right. It's I don't know. That's like the flavor gets packed into this perfect ball. I don't know what makes it so. Or you're just balling out the right part, the sweetest part of the melon. I don't know what it is, but it's amazing.
It's truly amazing. If you want to show
whoever created the melon baller, male or female, did they get the Nobel Peace Prize? They should have, right? They should have got it.
They should have. I don't know why they haven't branched out to like a cheese baller or like a meat baller. Like, where are chicken balls? And they're just. I don't understand why we got stuck at the melon and we haven't moved on to so many balling options.
Exactly. I mean, we could be balling a tangerine. We could be balling a...
Tangerine's coming a ball, Graham. Get your shit together.
Yeah, but you got to ball the right part of it. You know what I mean? Like,
we could ball soy. I suppose there are meatballs. So someone did ball the meat at some point, but
for those older members
your face is showing that you think we've gotten off track. Whereas I was thinking we finally got on track. This is what I've been waiting to talk about.
I don't know how you picked up that visual cue, Lee. It's amazing to me. That we're saying balling the way in the 70s they used to say have that meant and have sex. Like, did you ball that person? That's what that means. And we're saying we're balling meat, which just makes me laugh.
Oh, is that why everyone's been looking at me weird every time I run into the office and go, I balled a melon this weekend? Dude, I balled the fuck out of a cantaloupe. They looked at me funny, and I didn't understand. Yeah.
And then you say, do you want some? And everyone's like, no, we're good, Lee. I don't know. I don't want your weird melon. Whatever creep melon you've got. And it's like in a Ziploc bag. You know what I mean? At least it looks weird. It's just like,
dude, guys, I balled the fuck out of this melon. Does anybody want some? No, we're totally good, Lee. We are totally good.
Yeah, we're good forever. Like, you don't ever need to ask us anything about this ever again.
Ever. I tried to explain it was consensual, but they wouldn't hear it. This last slide. I think this is from Daily Beast, which is absolutely garbage outlet. However, this is a true story, so even a blind squirrel finds a acorn sometimes. This is they say the real winner of the Afghan war is this shady military contractor, and they're talking about our friends at DynCorp.
Of course. Yeah, those are the two big winners of the Afghan 20-year war are the Taliban and defense contractors.
Yeah. So I think we did it, man. Despite your decision to quit halfway through.
I literally just pulled the plug on my internet because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm out. I can't hear about this horrible DynCorp corporation anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah, that was a full-fledged episode of Government Secrets. Hit the like button, everybody. If you're give it a positive review, whatever format you're listening or watching this on, all those things help. And support us at liberapay.com/government secrets.
LIBERAPAY.com/government secrets. And yeah, all my stuff's at radindiemedia.com, but it's not just my stuff. It's tons of stuff from Graham, from Gray Zone, from everybody you love. So check out radindiemedia.com.
Thanks for including me on the Rad Indie Media, buddy.
We do, man. We do.
So do we, can we commit to next Friday at this time, or do we not know?
I should be committable. I think I'm committable.
That's the most solid, maybe not sure that I've ever seen in my life. The long pause. I was like, okay, so no,
I'm gonna say, well, so we have a show in New York, but it's Sunday, so I believe I'm going up Saturday. So I'm gonna say 87.32% Friday.
All right. What's the show you're doing?
So this is what I told people while you were off the air, while you left us, is I told them about the DC one, which is, so it's Stand Up for Assange being put on by Randy Credico. This weekend's DC, next weekend's New York, and they're sold out. However, he is live streaming them. So people can find the live stream link on my Twitter if you just scroll down, or on Randy Credico's Twitter. So yeah, hope you'll join the live stream and enjoy the evening.
And the money is going for what specifically?
That's up to Randy. So there's the live stream's free, so I don't think there's any money that I know of through the live stream. For the tickets in person, I think if there's proceeds after paying the venue, I think they go to Assange's legal defense. I know I'm not getting paid. I can tell you that much.
Right. Well, that's good. Well, cool, man. And where can people check that out?
It'll be live streamed on YouTube. To get that link, go to my Twitter at Lee Camp, and it's on my Twitter.
Outstanding. Well, folks, yeah, thanks for watching. Just go check out all my stuff at GrahamElwood.com. You can support me in a multitude of ways, and join Rockfin, because you get all of our premium stuff, my stuff, Lee's, Ron, Jimmy, Dor, Abby Martin, Whitney Webb, a bunch of other people are on there. So check that out. Hey, everybody. Ron Placone and I had to cancel all of our October tour dates because of COVID, the Delta variant, all that. But we still have shows in California. Ron and I are doing San Francisco, September 11th, Sacramento, September 12th, Burbank, September 15th, and Lee Camp and I are doing Live Government Secrets September 18th in Los Angeles. All those tour dates are at GrahamElwood.com. All of the venues are requiring proof of vaccination. Dynasty Typewriter on the 18th is also saying you can do negative COVID tests, but check with the venues for what their policies are. I have no control over those policies. Go to GrahamElwood.com. Sorry we can't come. This sucks. We'll be back hopefully next year. But if you're in California or want to make the trip, come out to these shows. These are probably the only shows we're going to do this year. Thank you.